Hi, my name is Dr. Nathan Groot. I am a music instructor at the Arkansas School for Mathematics, Sciences, and the Arts, where I teach string ensemble, applied string lessons, and other music courses. Today we're going to be looking at an excerpt from Symphony No. 40 in G minor by Mozart. This is for Set 2 for junior high in the South region of Arkansas for all region auditions for the year of 2024. So, first things first, key. Our title gives it away, G minor. So in perpetual motion, if you're already practicing that excerpt, you're probably used to the key of B flat major. This is the relative minor key. Relative keys share a key signature but have a different starting note. So a G minor scale, if you were to play a G natural minor scale, you would start on G and play two flats, a B flat and an E flat. If you're practicing all forms of your minor scales, there is the harmonic minor, where just the seventh note of the scale is raised. Which gives us that nice big interval between E flat and F sharp. And then a melodic minor scale, your sixth and seventh scale degree, are raised on the way up and then lowered on the way down. So it can be helpful to practice our minor scales before we maybe practice this piece each day. Especially, whichever form of minor that your teacher wants you to play can be helpful, and also in preparing for auditions. Okay, we've talked about the key. Let's talk about the time signature of the meter. So you have this C with a slash through it. I've had some students think it was the sign for cents, like money, and it does look like that. But what this means is it's in cut time. This means that it looks like it's written in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, with 4 quarter notes in a measure. That's true. Ultimately, though, what this means, cut time, if we were to write it in numbers, is it would be 2, 2. So there are 2 half notes per measure. And yes, that's true. There are also 4 quarter notes. So if you want to, and in fact we will do this later on in the video, we'll start out counting it in 4, and then we'll graduate to counting it in 2 in cut time. We have a tempo here. Half note equals 60, which is thankfully much slower than the actual symphony, so we don't have to play it blazingly fast like it is in the actual symphony. It's a little bit slower, so that gives us a chance to strive for even more accuracy, which is great. Okay, so importantly, with our key, let's just talk really quickly about the finger patterns we're going to use in the key of G minor, right? So on our G string, we're going to be using a 1-2 finger pattern. That A natural and then B flat is going to be our half step. On our D string, we're not going to have any fingers touching. On our A string, we're going to have that half step between our third finger and our fourth finger. Same thing on our E string. Now, importantly, we're not going to be playing any open E's. So if you find yourself playing your E string with no fingers down, it means you've played a wrong note, because there aren't any accidentals except for F sharp in this. And the F sharp is there, if you'll remember the harmonic minor scale that we played a moment ago, that's where that F sharp comes from. That's the leading tone of this key. It's the 7th note of the scale. So F sharps are very common accidentals to see in the key of G minor. But there aren't going to be any E naturals, so don't play your open E string. So let's just go through this really slowly, really carefully. Where in the bow to play this? We're at a dynamic level of piano, so we want to be careful with our contact point not to be super close to the bridge, and with our weight not to use too much weight. But we also don't want it to sound timid. So you're auditioning, it's piano, it is an orchestral excerpt, but we're not going to play it with quite the same level of orchestral piano. So like if you're one of 40 violins, maybe your piano would be a little different than if you're all by yourself in an audition room, right? You want to be heard and you want to have a good tone. So that's perfectly fine. We can have some presence of sound without being sort of forte timbre and volume. We're not going to want to play that loud. We're going to want to be just a little bit under, but still have a good tone, right? I would recommend not doing this at the extreme frog or the extreme tip, but to do it kind of near the middle. I like the balance point area of the bow. So we're going to start, of course, with a low fourth finger for that E flat. And then, of course, a low fourth finger for the B flat. There's no reason to move your third finger. Be-da-da, be-da-da, be-da-da. You can have that third finger as sort of your anchor and just hop back and forth around that, okay? Then we have, make sure that's a fourth finger because it's an E flat. With these two quarter notes, we're going to want the first one to be a little bit more emphasized than the second one. Nothing crazy, no accents that aren't written, but this is what's called the hierarchy of beats. There are beats that are stronger than others. One, in this case, is going to be much stronger than the second quarter note, which in cut time is actually an offbeat, not even a beat in the conducting pattern. So we have sort of a rebound, and then we have up bow again, and then we have another statement. Same thing there. So interestingly here we have, it sounds like a question and answer, sort of a basic idea, a contrasting idea, and then it happens again. So see if you can hear, this is thing one, response, and then the next thing sounds very similar, it's just transposed down a step. Very similar stuff. If you can conceptualize the structure of this melody, it's going to come through in your playing. So if you just think about these things as going together, it'll help. Okay, then something new happens, right? So this is 6, 7, 8, 9. So in pick up to measure 10, things change. We're no longer just repeating the same idea over and over again. It also requires us to do something with our fingering. So there are a couple of ways you can approach this. I like second position. Just for a brief moment, I go up a half step, my hand moves up a half step. I have 3, 2, 2, 4, and then I shift down to 1 on the F sharp. And then again, three, 2, 2, 4, 1, 3. So that's one approach. You may want to ask your teacher if they have a different opinion. This is one where reasonable people could definitely have other opinions. So one alternative is maybe an extension. You just have to be able to reach that. So an extension from first position. The reason I settled on second position is because I find the extension to be a little bit less reliable than just shifting up a half step and back down. So feel free to experiment with that. I know some people are going to be more comfortable shifting between third and first. That's fine if you want to do that. It's slow enough that you can probably get away with it. It's just a little further than you need to go. If you're just doing a half step between first and second position, that's a much smaller leap than leaping between first and third. But I know that because of the way that we teach shifting, maybe you haven't played very much in second position. That's okay. Just be sure to think about where your first finger is and have all your notes behind the notes down where they're supposed to be. So no fingers doing this kind of thing, or else you'll just get lost up there. So just think about where all your fingers are and you'll be good to go. But that's the fingering that I recommend, is second position there. So let's say you take that fingering. When you shift down, you have to stop the bow a little bit, or else this will happen. You'll have a slide. Mozart, we don't want slides. No slides. We want everything to be crystal clear, no glissandos. We're not in a sort of late romantic, early 20th century playing style. This is very much the classical playing style. We want to just stop the bow in enough time to shift so that we do not hear the shift, okay? And then here, make sure to use your fourth finger. So this is 3, 2, low 1, low 4. Ba-da-dee-da. So F natural to E flat is a little bit of a tricky one to get in tune. Just make sure that your third finger goes down so that you have something to measure against going from that first finger to that fourth finger. On these last notes, these are so much longer in note value than anything else that we've played. Make sure that you're really, truly counting those, okay? All right, so now we are going to go through at various tempos. This can be a good way for you to practice along. Just remember that there are a lot of different ways to practice, and going through from beginning to end over and over again often is not the most effective way. So I would encourage you, if you have a problem spot, if there's something that needs sort of honing in this, if it's not quite working, to just pause and isolate that spot and work on it in creative ways. If you need help with sort of how to practice, how to approach things, let me know. I'd be happy to chat about it and help. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to go through from a slow tempo to the gold tempo. We're actually starting out at 60 on the metronome, which is our gold tempo. The difference is we're going to be counting the quarter note instead of taking it actually in cut time, which is what's marked. So this is exactly half tempo that we're taking it at. So we're starting at 60. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and then we'll come in because it's on the fourth beat. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Here is 70. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, now rather than going to 100, we're going to drop it down to 50, and we're going to start counting in cut time. So this is no longer the quarter, but is now the half. So if you were still subdividing and counting the quarter, you would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to count really accurately for cut time, it would be 1 and 2 and, okay? So I'm going to start us off by counting 1 and 2. Ba-da-da, okay? This is 50. 1 and 2. We're going to go to 55. This is 55. 1, 2. Finally, here is our goal tempo of half note equals 60. 1, 2. All right, this was kind of a short one. If I missed anything, very possible I did, just let me know and I'd be happy to elaborate on something or help out in any way I can. You can reach out through the comments or through my website, through email. I'd be happy to help out if I can. Otherwise, very best of luck at your audition in the fall and happy practicing.